Welcome to Classical Austin. I'm Diane Donovan. On today's show, KMFA's Guillermo Delgado chats with Lisa Sunset Holt, the head choir director at Cedar Park High. She's been nominated for a Grammy Award of Music Educator of the Year. I'll have a conversation with Andrea Ariel about sound painting. She has some performances coming up with Austin Unconducted. And KMFA's George Preston talks with soprano Erin Morley about an upcoming recital in Dallas. Now's a great time to find a comfortable chair, and let's go with a hot drink today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Classical Austin.
Greetings, and thanks for listening to Classical Austin on 89.5. I'm Guillermo Delgado, host of Saturday Matinee and KMFA by Request. I'm also the manager of education and outreach at KMFA, and I recently sat down to talk with Lisa Sunset Holt, the head choir director at Cedar Park High School and the director of the Austin-based community treble ensemble known as SoCo Women's Chorus. Ms. Holt has been named one of 10 finalists for the 2026 Music Educator Award, a prestigious honor presented by the Recording Academy and the Grammy Museum. Born in a family of gospel musicians, Ms. Holt has taught across Texas, in Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. Her choirs have consistently received sweepstakes ratings at UIL contests. As well, she has sent over 35 students to the TMEA All-State Choirs. During her years at the University of Texas, Ms. Holt studied voice, music education, and conducting. Ms. Holt is nominated for a Grammy Award in Music Education, and during this interview, she shared with us what her journey has been like as a Grammy-nominated musician, including the application and interview process.
It started with a parent.
Okay.
I had a parent that wrote to them to nominate me.
Yeah.
Who I've taught her children, both of her children, and she's been a really important booster parent and very supportive of us, and she's obviously was very satisfied with what we do at Cedar Park High School. And once I was nominated, then the Grammy Academy reached out and they had us, almost felt like a test that they had us take, just to sort of ask what we do in our classroom every day, essay questions, demographic questions about the school. They asked music literacy, like how often do you sight read? We sight read every day.
Awesome.
And then that got us to the next round. That was to be a semifinalist. And then there was a ton of video interviews and a portfolio to put together and some teaching videos that we had to execute. So I had my students sight read UIL style.
Like
for
you
that
filmed
video.
them, like you staged. Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
And then also some videos from me about what I wanted to tell other educators in the United States about what works in my classroom, along with a resume and all the different, like, what do you do in your program? And there's just so many facets to both Cedar Park High School and the SoCo Women's Chorus that we do. And I presented that to them. That got me to be a quarterfinalist and then now a finalist.
Wow.
And it's pretty incredible.
Each year, the Recording Academy and the Grammy Museum select 10 music educators in the United States to be nominated for this award. Ms. Holt tells us all about her journey as being one of the 10 music educators across the nation selected for this recognition. For Miss Lisa Sunset Holt, this Grammy nomination is the culmination of a life in music.
I have been a musician my whole life, and I've been in the public education system since I got out of college. I've been teaching at Cedar Park High School for most of my career. Also recently, in 2021, joined the SoCo Women's Chorus as the artistic director, and I have just poured my entire heart and soul into teaching music to anyone that wants to learn. And I think that I've had parents that have recognized me and nominated me for this award. And then through the whole screening process, through the Recording Academy, which is very extensive, I finally made it to this point, and I am incredibly excited to be recognized for that hard work. It's been very humbling for me.
Here's a performance by the Cedar Park High School Choir, led by Miss Lisa Holt. The music is Rumor of a Secret King by John Mackey. Rumor of a Secret King by John Mackey. This is Classical Austin, and I'm Guillermo Delgado. You're listening to a conversation I had with Miss Lisa Sunset Holt, who has been named one of 10 finalists for the 2026 Grammy Music Educator Award. She's the head choir director at Cedar Park High School and the director of the SoCo Women's Chorus here in Austin.
So the SoCo Women's Chorus, we're an audition-based community chorus. So it's not professional singers, but we do have professional singers in there. So it's a gamut of different backgrounds of music education alongside different types of women in Austin. We have a strong LGBTQ plus representation. That's a big part of our bylaws. But we also have, mothers and homemakers and bakers and engineers. We have a lot of lawyers that make up this chorus. It's such a wonderful community of women. And we go through our season and we put together, different concerts. We just did Fire and Ice. And upcoming this next season, we're doing a concert on space, like outer space. And some really incredible pieces that we're going to showcase next spring. And through that music, we develop friendships and relationships that would never occur outside of that world. We would never run into each other. And it's, people that are longing for community. That's just part of who we are. We want to get together. We want to sing. And these women just love each other so much. And even if you're new and you've never, sung in a formal choir before, if you've got some experience, come audition for us. It's such a great place to be. We're a wonderful community, and we perform some beautiful music. And I hold your hand the whole way. I promise I will teach it to you.
Again, she's a Grammy-nominated music educator.
So if you come to our concert, we had a woman recently who joined. She goes, "I just never thought I would be able to sing with you, and here I am."
Yeah,
and it was just that was just a wonderful thing to hear from them.
I'm Guillermo Delgado, and this is Classical Austin. You're listening to a conversation I had with Lisa Sunset Holt, a 2026 Grammy-nominated music educator, one of only 10 in the country. She's the director of the Cedar Park High School Choir and the director of the community treble ensemble, the SoCo Women's Chorus.
Tell us where you were when you found out. Or was it like, was there a moment?
I was actually, this is kind of a big thing for me. I was on the way to ACL. We had been invited to sing with LP Joby. My SoCo Women's Chorus was invited to sing backup for LP Joby at ACL, which was a huge deal. And I was literally in the car on the way to the festival when I found out. And my husband was driving, fortunately, because I would have wrecked the car. I was so excited. And so it was like a huge moment for me, to a pinnacle of all the hard work and this like great performance. And then ACL was incredible. It was a mountaintop experience. Yeah.
What a very like a beautiful Austin.
So Austin.
Like everything kind of like put together on my way to ACL.
I was on I-35.
Yeah,
Like I said, I've said this before, that anyone that's at the Grammys for the normal awards had someone like us. So they had someone like us along the way to encourage them or inspire them. And so it's nice that they go out and look for who those people are. I want to talk a little bit about some of the cool ensembles we have at Cedar Park. We have some a cappella groups. They're called Pitch Black and Seasons, but Pitch Black is a barbershop octet. And they perform all over Austin. They're very popular right now. They've sung for the Governor's Mansion recently, and they write their own musicals and with barbershop music.
This is an ensemble.
From Cedar Park.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're called Pitch Black, and they put a Christmas show together every year called Pitch Black Saves Christmas. And it's just kind of fun to have that barbershop side of things, especially coming from a classical musician. When I first started working at Cedar Park, barbershop was a big thing there, and I was just like, why?
It's kind of popular right now.
I started to be like, I really? And now that I've really gotten, I don't know, my barbershop friends are going to give me a lot of heat for that. But now that I really understand the craft and the way that they've really improved the art form over the last several years. The Barbershop Harmony Society has done a lot of great arrangements of changing that scope. There's some incredibly difficult literature out there for these kids, and they just love it. And so they are able to go from auditioning for the All-State Choir to singing the Aladdin medley by Erin. It's just so funny. And honestly, they're both just as hard.
Definitely.
So that's one of the cool ensembles we have there at Cedar Park. And we also have a group called Seasons, which is the female version. They sing sweet eyeline music as well as just feminine a cappella stuff when we do a big princess tea in the spring. We've been doing it for 15 plus years now, and they invite all the little kids out in the community, and they basically put on a dinner theater for small children with a plot, and they sing their princesses songs, and it's a great community outreach that we have at Cedar Park. Yeah.
I'm Guillermo Delgado, your afternoon weekend host at KMFA, and you're listening to Classical Austin. As a homegrown Texan, I've always been fortunate to have great music educators, and in this interview, I got to talk to a fantastic music educator from here in Central Texas, Miss Lisa Holt, who is officially Grammy-nominated.
Music education does so much for the whole student and their mind, and there's so much research that, music education actually helps with all your other academics far more than coding classes do.
Yeah. There's I don't know all the sciences and stuff, but I think it even goes beyond science, because I attribute, I'm thankful to music because I think that's where I learned how to practice or study or do hard work. And I wasn't engaged enough with other things. And music was like, oh, here's where you can practice these skills to now go be able to apply that stuff. And now I'm going to ask you a hard question.
Oh.
What's your favorite thing about being an educator?
My favorite thing about being an educator is obviously it's student first, but it's to see the growth of a child turn into an adult, especially in the high school level. They come in, they're a little immature, they're a little naive, their voice just changed, they're making all sorts of squawks and sounds, and to be able to teach musicianship and to teach them the standard of excellence in the classroom and how anyone can learn and everyone can improve, and inspiring them through music to just be a better human. We teach a lot of music history in my room, and why was this piece written, and what does it mean, and what is the emotion behind it, and how does that help us be a better human, and the arts and the artistic side of things. And I think that really inspires my kids.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation I had with Miss Lisa Sunset Holt, a 2026 Grammy-nominated music educator from here in Central Texas. Lisa, I'm wishing you the best of luck, and from all of us here in Central Texas, musicians and beyond, a huge congratulations on your nomination. This is Guillermo Delgado on Classical Austin. Thanks for listening on Classical 89.5 KMFA.
Great thanks to Guillermo Delgado for his interview with Lisa Sunset Holt. And by the way, the Grammy Awards will be Sunday, February the 1st, although I think some of the awards, such as Teacher of the Year, may happen the day before. But in any case, by next weekend, we'll know if Ms. Holst won a well-deserved Grammy Award. You're listening to Classical Austin. I'm Diane Donovan. Here's a little of a sound painting by Walter Thompson. On February 6th and 7th, KMFA will be presenting another in its series of offbeat concerts, presentations, etc. Get ready for a sound painting of live music compositions created in real time with Austin Unconducted and the Andrea Ariel Dance Theater. I'm very pleased to say that Andrea Ariel is in the studio with us right now. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me and for doing this interview.
Well, this is really interesting. I'd heard of sound painting in the past, but I saw a couple of images, but I got into it a little bit more. But I do know that many people would not know what that is. It's quite popular in Europe, not as much in the States. So can you describe what is sound painting?
Okay, sure. Sound painting is a universal, multidisciplinary sign language, essentially, and it's uses signals or signs or gestures to improvise with. And so then the composition is composed with what the performers are proposing or what they're doing based on the signs. And there's like over 1,500 signs in the whole vocabulary. You wouldn't use that many in one show, you know. Yeah, or even for anybody to remember that many signs. Right. But yeah, it was created by Walter Thompson, who was a jazz musician in the 70s, and he wanted to direct the improvisations of his jazz orchestra, and so he started making up these signs to do that. And then eventually it evolved to bringing in actors and dancers, so the vocabulary started to expand, and even visual artists. And I met Walter in 98. Marjorie Siegel, who's a dancer in town, brought him to Austin because she knew him from New York and asked me to be in the show using sound painting. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that is, but in a week I learned as many signs as I could and performed it, and I fell in love with it. As a performer, it's quite amazing because you're present. You're present in the moment until you're given a sign, and you improvise immediately, so it's just, you know, right there in the moment, and whatever comes out, you start to work with that idea.
That's art without a net.
Yes, it is art without a net, that's for sure.
I watched some of the videos, and I would encourage our listeners to go online and see what you do. You're a choreographer, and you've been for years, and the company has been around for 36, this is your 36th year. Yes. Do you consider yourself a conductor and composer as well?
Oh, I absolutely consider myself a composer, and we call ourselves sound painters as opposed to conductors, because Walter likes to make a distinction between a conductor is reading a score and leading an orchestra through that, whereas in sound painting we are giving signs, but we're not really conducting the performers. We're composing with the material that they're giving us. So I think one of the amazing things with sound painting is because it's multidisciplinary, and as a sound painter we all work with all the disciplines if we're sound painting. And so it really gives you the opportunity to compose music as well as dance or theater or even visual art. So yeah, I think it's pretty amazing to compose music. And choreographers and composers, it's this very close kind of relationship in terms of how one might choreograph a dance, how one might compose a dance, you know, musically. So as a choreographer, I feel like there's a deep connection to music, and I've worked with many scores and things like that. So I feel like I understand music, not maybe as much as the musicians do, but it's definitely, I feel like I am composing music, and in this show, it's all music. So I'm composing with Austin Unconducted.
That's tremendous, and they may be moving around themselves, correct?
Possibly, yes. I'm working on what I would call configurations, so that there's going to be 3 pieces, each of them around 20 minutes, and I would like to have them in different configurations in the space. So yeah, we haven't quite started working on that yet, but like who can move with their instrument while they're playing, or who can move their instrument and then play. Possibly, maybe one of the pieces, the musicians will be spread out all over the space, or another one, they'll be in different configurations in the space.
Interesting. Do you try to tell a story, a narrative with each dance, or is it more music and dance for music and dance sake?
I think when I'm choreographing dances, sometimes they are telling stories, and sometimes they're very abstract. I've made a decision to do this show with just musicians. So there won't be any dancers, and it's just me sound painting and the musicians. And the music, we don't know what the music will be exactly. So it's one of those things that we'll find out.
That was a little more of a sound painting by Walter Thompson from his work Pixo, and that was part of Entrance. And that piece was an improvised work using hand signals and such to direct musicians when to play, what kind of sound, dynamics to create a piece of music on the spot. This show is Classical Austin. I'm Diane Donovan, and at this time you're hearing a conversation I had with Andrea Ariel just a few days ago. And she will be performing with Austin Unconducted February 6th and 7th in the Draylen Mason Music Studio under that process that she learned from Walter Thompson. Have you ever been in the situation where you had a rehearsal and something worked so well, but because it's improvised, you couldn't recreate it the next day?
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Our first rehearsal was Tuesday, and there were a couple really cool pieces that started to come out, and it's like, oh, God, that's really cool. That was almost too good for the first rehearsal. But
yeah, you wonder, where is it going to go?
But it can give you ideas, but it's like you don't know if you'll arrive at that again. I mean, one thing you could do, you could record the rehearsal, and then you could take that material, but it's sort of as counter to sound painting.
I wondered if when you come to the rehearsal, then to the performance, do you come with set ideas? Like, I will definitely do this, but the rest is... Or do you try to just keep it as free as possible, even on the night of the performance?
That's a really good question. I think... one of the things that we work with in working on composing with sound painting is, to create phrases of signs. So there is some thinking to, like, what do I have in my pocket? And what signs might I use in this piece, or what signs might I use in this piece to arrive at something? So it's terrifying in a lot of ways because I can't really prepare. But I sometimes do, yes, have like ideas about what signs I might use for a certain piece, what kind of tone that I'm looking for, and then you never know where it'll go. You can't really expect anything. That's the worst thing to do in sound painting.
No, I mean, if it doesn't go so well, you can blame the musicians. I'm kidding.
Yes, of course.
I'm kidding, of course.
Well, however it goes is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's, and some of the things that for sound painting are be wrong and strong.
Yes.
When in doubt, don't lay out. Don't sneak in and don't sneak out. And so, it's like if a musician comes in on a sign and it's not what they were supposed to do with that sign, mm-hmm. Well, they're in. And so that's what I have to compose with.
Yeah.
That's what I told them. It was like, whatever, if you make a mistake, there are no mistakes in sound painting. So
That's beautiful. I know that you worked a lot with jazz ensembles, and the whole thing about jazz is there's a lot of improvisation. So what is it like working with primarily classically trained musicians? Is it a little new to them, or, I know it's a cool group. Austin Unconducted does some cool stuff, so maybe they're more open to it than some, but what is the difference?
Well, I'm just beginning to learn that, and I would say among the group of 9 musicians that I'm working with, I think that some of them venture beyond classical, right? So they have vocabularies in improvisation, and I think that's something actually that we'll continue to explore. It's like you don't have to stay just in the classical realm. If you, say, have worked in rock and roll or, something really abstract, these are things that you can bring into the sound painting, and it doesn't have to just be strictly classical. So I'm just beginning to learn, getting to know them as improvisers, and they're getting to know the language. Yeah. So it's going to evolve over the next month, I guess 3 weeks.
Yes, it sounds
it's coming up.
Thrilling. Yeah, you might have a cellist use their cello as a beatbox.
For sure. That already happened on the first rehearsal. There's a thing called extended technique. Right. Which is known in the music world. Yeah. And so one of the signs is extended technique. And so, but they have the option of using extended technique. If I was calling a sign to them, they might do something that's an extended technique, which is super fun and cool.
Wow. I know that you also go to schools with young children, and I watched some of a video of that, and it seems like the perfect thing for children to move and be just directed and to be that free. What do you get out of doing those school events?
Right. Well, a lot of the stuff I do in the schools is in the classroom, right? And I think bringing sound painting performances to the schools is something that we're developing our school program to be able to do. One thing great about sound painting is that you can perform it with your musicians and dancers and actors, but you can also turn around and sign the kids, or in the show, I can turn around and sign the audience. And it's very intuitive. Like if you do a sign that's for the musicians and then turn to the audience, they know, and you say, oh, you're going to do this too, right? What's very cool is that they easily can become part of it, and they get it, and they're great at improvising. The program I do called Arts Plus brings together academic learning with creative movement and music. So we're studying different subjects, and then I'll throw in sound painting, here and there with things, and they totally love it.
Well, through your years with your dance company, you won numerous awards, Critics' Table Award and Sight for Sore Eyes and Ears, so congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
You're doing great work in our community, and we are very much looking forward to the performances on February 6th and 7th in the Draylen Mason Music Studio, right here. At KMFA as part of our Offbeat concert series. Anything else you'd like to let us know?
I think expect something adventurous, maybe sometimes weird, and then sometimes beautiful. There's a lot of possibilities that could happen in these performances, and the syntax of sound painting is who, what, when, and sometimes how. And so this is the first time that I've done sound painting with a string orchestra. So it's incredibly exciting for me to have this opportunity to do that with them. Yeah.
Andrea, Ariel, I want to thank you so much for taking time to talk with us on Classical Austin today. We can't wait for the performances.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes.
You can experience sound painting with Andrea Ariel and Austin Unconducted. There will be 2 performances in the Draylen Mason Music Studio of KMFA, Friday the 6th of February and Saturday the 7th. Thanks to Jeffrey Blair, our recording engineer, for that segment. And I want to let you know that our videographer, Jack Clucker, will have a video of our conversation probably in a week or so from now.
Désir The fabulous soprano Erin Morley will be in recital in Dallas under the auspices of Dallas Opera on Sunday, February 1st at 2 p.m. Gerald Martin Moore at the piano. Tickets and more information are at dallasopera.org. Erin has joined us on KMFA. Hello, Erin Morley.
Hi, thanks for having me today.
It's my very great pleasure. Now, the repertoire on the recital is taken from two albums that you have released, Rose in Bloom and Golden Age. Can you talk about what will be on the recital program and what's the idea, the concept behind these albums?
Last year, I released Rose in Bloom. It's my first solo recital album with Gerald. The album is really built around the idea of celebrating nature, and in particular, birds and flowers, and the kinds of art song that you don't necessarily hear all of the time, but that really tells a story of the cycle of life, and really highlights how different aspects of nature help us to celebrate moments in our lives and also mourn moments in our lives. And so it's sort of a celebration of the symbols of nature. This past year, myself and Lawrence Brownlee, we released Golden Age. It's a totally different album. It's with orchestra, and it's all operatic arias and duets from the sort of so-called golden age of opera. Most of it is bel canto. We also move a little bit into French romantic repertoire. And so I've decided for this program in Dallas to do sort of half and half art song inspired by nature and half operatic gems from the golden age. And,
Wonderful.
I think it'll be a great variety. I'm very excited to come back to Dallas.
Well, I'm excited. I'm going to be there on the 1st. I would not miss this program because I'm a huge fan of the song recital. And we don't get as many of them as we used to. Can you talk about keeping up the tradition of the song recital, which is much less prevalent than it used to be?
The thing that is most difficult for me to book these days is a recital with pianist, and in particular, art song. So it is something we have to fight to maintain and to preserve. We have to make sure we're reviving the repertoire that hasn't been heard enough, and that we keep singing all of the repertoire that everybody knows and loves. And with this program and with my album Rose in Bloom, Gerald and I tried to put together a balance with that sort of repertoire that people know and love, and then to bring forth some of the art song that people may not have ever heard of. And one of the songs on the program in Dallas is Saint-Saëns, and it's called La Libellule, which is the dragonfly. And this in particular was one of the gems that I think we unearthed a little bit. I think it had only been recorded once or twice. It's just a wonderful, wonderful song. Very, very difficult. Was written for the famous American soprano Sybil Sanderson. And a lot of French composers really sort of latched on to Sybil's voice and wrote for her, and Saint-Saëns was no different. And so this is one of those songs that he wrote that really he tailored to her voice. It's just the most wonderful, unique, beautiful, challenging song. So that will conclude the first half on our program. There's a lot of variety in the language. I believe that, art song needs to be celebrated in all languages. The one thing that's missing on this program is any English song. There's no songs in English, but we do have French, and we have Russian, and we have German. And we might even have a vocalese.
We're talking with Erin Morley, soprano, who will be giving a recital in Dallas on Sunday, February 1st with pianist Gerald Martin Moore. Check out dallasopera.org for more information and tickets. Of course, the experience of a song recital for the audience is different. There's no set. It's usually in a more intimate space. Do you prepare differently for a song recital than you do for an operatic role? How is the experience different for you as a singer?
Oh yeah, it's wildly different. It's you have to craft the arc for the audience, the experience for the audience entirely. And you do it through music, not through any sort of plot through point. Although, song recitals can include plot through points. This one does not necessarily have a plot arc, but you have to think about the whole experience as if you're a sort of art song director. And you have to think about the pacing of your voice. You have to think about, because there's no breaks, right? You're the one voice of the evening. In opera, you share the stage with your castmates. You get a break and you get to sort of play off of each other. And so it's a totally different dynamic. I am very lucky that I have a fantastic partner in Gerald Martin Moore. We play off of each other, I think, well, and there's so much energy coming from him at the piano. So he feels like my duo cast member in the spotlight there. The idea behind Art Song was that we have, an experience in someone's living room, and that we get to share something that feels quite personal with each other. When I do a recital like this, I try to just make the space feel like my own living room. And like I've invited the entire audience over for a dinner party. And
so you'll be cooking too.
Yes, that's right. I forgot to mention there will be refreshments.
We're kidding, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I know Gerald from many Metropolitan Opera intermission quizzes where he is the ever droll and lively host of the quiz. I'm a panelist, right. So I actually have to answer some of the questions. I'd love to get a crack at the host role sometime, but it's always fun to see Gerald in List Hall at the Met, or I've seen him in his travels around Chicago, etc. And it must be great because it makes a huge difference having a sympathetic, lively partner who really understands what you do. And I imagine he helps you dig through the repertoire to put the program together too.
Absolutely. Gerald's a real partner, and he says hello, by the way.
Okay.
He says hi to you, George. He's a great partner. He happens to be my voice teacher as well. And that's a very special relationship when you can collaborate with your voice teacher, because he's thinking about so much more. And when we put the album together, there was discussion about pacing and what's good for your voice and what's going to be interesting for the listeners we're trying to target. And but also when he plays, I just never have to worry about 1 second. I know he's always going to be right there with me. He happens to just be brilliant. And, anything that I need from him, he can do at the drop of a hat. He's really wonderful. I think I'm quite spoiled.
We're talking with soprano Erin Morley about her recital in Dallas on February 1st, 2 p.m. It's under the auspices of Dallas Opera, so tickets are available at dallasopera.org. We're talking a little bit about your albums, Rose in Bloom, which you did with your recital partner and teacher, Gerald Martin Moore, and Golden Age, which you did with the absolutely wonderful bel canto tenor, Lawrence Brownlee. How do people get these albums?
They're available everywhere. You can get them on any streaming platform. You can order them on many, many different sites. If you like to have a physical copy, we have those available. I believe in having the physical copy with the booklet in front of me. So that's also available. Go out and find it. It's a fun album. It's really, really wonderful.
It is beautiful. And Erin Morley, I will see you and Gerald Martin Moore on Sunday, February 1st in recital at Dallas Opera. Thanks so much for joining us on KMFA.
Thank you. Can't wait.
Thanks to KMFA's George Preston for that interview segment with soprano Erin Morley. You're listening to Classical Austin. I'm Diane Donovan. I was just ready to tell you about a couple of events happening at the Butler School of Music this coming week, and one was to be on January 26th. That's tomorrow if you're listening to the Sunday edition of the show. It was to be a celebration of the 120th anniversary of Shostakovich's birth. They were to play several of his pieces, the Preludes, Opus 34, numbers 1 to 12, and the piano trio in C minor, poem, Opus 8, and more. Unfortunately, that performance is going to be rescheduled due to this inclement weather. However, Friday, January the 30th, the Miro Quartet will be back to perform at Bates Recital Hall, and they'll be performing Mozart String Quintet, number 4 in G minor, Kirchhoff 516, and as well as Franz Schubert's String Quartet, number 15 in G major, Deutsch 887, and this one was actually published after the composer's death. I thought it would be quite the thing to listen to one of the movements, and we'll listen to the third movement of that Schubert String Quartet. The Tokyo String Quartet performed the third movement of Schubert's String Quartet number 15 in G major, Deutsch 887. And that's a major work that you can hear in its entirety when the Moreau Quartet performs on Friday, January 30th at Bates Recital Hall, 7:30 p.m. start, and they will also be performing the String Quintet, number 4 in G minor, Köchel 516 by Mozart. And that's just about all the time we have today for Classical Austin. Again, I want to thank the contributors, Guillermo Delgado, for his wonderful conversation with Lisa Sunset Holt, who is up for a Grammy Award as Music Educator of the Year. And thanks to George Preston for his conversation with soprano Erin Morley, who will be performing a recital in Dallas for Dallas Opera. And that should give you lots of time to pick the date and purchase tickets. I want to thank you for listening to Classical Austin. Please take very good care. Maybe look out for someone else. It's a good time to check in on neighbors when we have these very, very cold temperatures. And let's be kind to one another. If you're doing that and listening to KMFA, you probably will have a beautiful and musical rest of your day. I'm Diane Donovan. Bye-bye for now.